Welcome to RGM. Are you in a band? Come and join us. Simply click on the RGM submission page, submit your music, and we'll sort the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a bonus podcast. We're on hiatus at the minute just before the new series cracks and kicks off. But we've got a bonus episode for you today. It's a surprise. Not sure about this music bed. I'm trying new stuff, guys. What do you reckon? Cheesy as fuck or what? Yeah, I'll work on that. I'll work on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a bonus episode of the podcast. And back in the day, RGM used to cover a lot of comedy until the big global bastard took it away from the world. And we are going to be picking up more comedy content on RGM. And this is the start of it, really, because we've got a new guest. We've got Zoe Zalias with us today. Hi, mate. How are you doing? You okay?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, good. How are you
enjoying
doing?
the sun?
I am. Yeah, I've literally just put some clothes on for this interview.
Well, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You've got one of them bodies what are impressive in the sun, I bet, aren't you?
I'm not sure who it'd be impressive to, but hey, you're welcome to take a look, see if you like it.
Fair enough. So, this is a podcast, really. I can remember first being around you as a comedian a long time ago, and I think it were probably 9 or 10 years ago. It was a Spiky Mike Gong Show in Derby.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I'm going back a bit here. When I attempted to do comedy, I was on the circuit for a year. And I was scrounging around for 5-minute sets where I can. Yeah. And I can remember you at the time, you were one of the more established acts at the time. Okay. And you were like one of the main ones, and we were just the kids pissing about on the Gong Show before, just trying to get a bit of stage time and having a go at it type thing. So a lot of comedians, a lot of people looking at comedians think, well, what do they think? So I don't think they appreciate how many years comedians put into the craft before they get any good.
I think it's probably the longest, or for most people it's like the longest apprenticeship of any career ever, because a good saying I've heard like really established acts talking about is that you don't even know who you are till 5 years in. It really does take at least 5 years generally. Some people do it quicker, but 5 years to find your kind of voice and what you're about. It took me longer, and probably took me 8 years.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about a great new comedy club that's opened up in Sheffield, but we'll just get to know you a bit, Joe, first, if that's all right, man.
Sure.
Shoot the shit and all that kind of stuff. So, how long have you been in comedy for then? When did you start?
May 2009, I think. Oh. Yeah, May 2009. So that's like, 13 years or something?
Yeah. So you've been... So, just looking back over the last 12 months, how much of an impact has the big global bastard had on comedian and friends around you?
Global bastard, I like that. Well, while I did comedy for sort of 12 years of doing it, or maybe 11 years doing it, I was also a firefighter, so I was doing both jobs. And I decided to go full time and do stand-up comedy in January 2020.
So in the height of the pandemic, you decided to fuck off this day job and
it wasn't the height of the pandemic. It was it was just rumblings at that point. Shit's going on.
I can't remember dates anymore, me. I don't know.
So January 2020, I was looking at my diary, and February was like chocker, and all the way up to August, I was busy. Yeah. And then the lockdown was in March. That's when the rug just went, there you go. You're not earning any money for a year. Fuck you. Yeah.
So as I follow you online, and I see, I class you.
So let me just shut this door quickly, because there's a woman screaming at kids outside. That's how well my career is going.
Take it as an echo, mate. Take it as a
She's terrifying. I'd never dare say anything back to her.
Fair enough. So the amount of time and years that comedians put into the career before people even see them as an established act. And an established act these days could be 30 minutes on stage, not like an hour where you see people having the specials and that kind of stuff. To get a good 15, 20 minutes, you're kind of an established act when you get to that short term stage as well, aren't you? So the amount of time and years you put into it, and then you finally make this decision to go for it, leave the day job, and which is a massive decision to make. You tell me what kind of thoughts you went through when making that decision.
Well, the fire service kind of forced my hand. They'd never liked me doing it, and I'd been under investigation loads over the years for doing it. They hated it, and then eventually they told me,
just comments and things. And
honestly, the management were just twats. Yeah, just twats. Honestly, firefighters, wonderful. Anything like the senior managers, like some of them, oh my God, they were terrible. Just they told me I couldn't do it right at the start when I registered it as a second job. Yeah. And then because I told them, they said, you can't do this. And I said, well, legally speaking, you can't stop me. And I feed my kids with this money. So sorry, I'm doing it. They said, well, we can't stop you doing it, but know this, we don't want you to do it. And then after that, it were like every 2 minutes they were saying, somebody's anonymously complained about the content and you're under investigation, and constant. So pretty much annually I was under investigation for something I did outside of work. And then eventually they told me, they got me on something. They were able to pin something on me and told me that I officially had to not do the stand-up anymore. They said, right, that's it. You can't do the stand-up and the fire service. That's it. And I said, okay, that's fine. And they said, oh, we didn't expect you to take it that well. Yeah. And I said, I think you're misunderstanding. Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah. So that must have been like, in a certain way, that's kind of a dream to say that to an employer in many ways, isn't it? So
and it's been funny because during the pandemic and stuff, family have been saying like, oh, could you not go back to doing that? And no pun intended, I've definitely burnt them bridges.
Yeah. So what do you think they were so scared of?
The public sector in general, it don't matter which part of it you're in, it's just they're so scared of offending everybody and coming across as being right in everything they say all the time. There's this kind of fake veneer of tolerance towards everything, and so they're scared you're going to say something sexist, racist, homophobic. And I tried to tell them it's not like the days of like Bernard Manning and Roy Chubby Brown. I said, if you did that on the comedy circuit, you'd be ostracized instantly. But that's their worry, I believe.
So, comedians can sometimes fall into the trap of just saying controversial things because they think it's hard and clever. But for me personally, that feels like an easy way out. It's just like a shock thing with no intelligence behind it. To get away with that kind of stuff, you need to have an idea. You need to have there needs to be thought behind it, and it needs to be said in a way that is, well, I'm not a comedian anymore. You tell me how you would approach, subjects like that on stage.
Well, for me, I think there's another saying I've heard. Just bear me 1 second.
Sure, mate.
Doorbell's ringing. Hang on.
We're in the house of Zoe Zalias, comedian in Sheffield, going a live podcast. We like doing these things live. Things happen, surprises happen. He's a busy lad, so we appreciate his time joining us on the podcast today. It's all good. It's all good. I'm going to be telling you all about the great new Sheffield nightclub comedy venue coming up, ladies and gentlemen, guys. So in the meantime, Joe will be back with us soon.
Sorry about that, buddy.
All right, mate. Where were we? Oh yeah. How would you think it's the right way to approach controversial topics as a comedian?
I think that it's kind of, you go to politicians for lies and to the comedians for the truth. Yeah. So I think comedians shouldn't be terrified of the controversial subjects. You should embrace them and go for it direct. If you've got an opinion on something and a controversial, just do it. And there's this whole thing with people who say, oh, you can't say anything nowadays. You can. And I do. Yeah. And I get away with saying some things that if you take out of context, it'd be horrendous. But
Oh.
yeah, that's what I pick controversial subjects. I'm not particularly offensive, but
Yeah,
I like to pick them subjects because once you're talking about something that people have thought in their heads but would never say out loud, you know, you're onto a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole world seems to have gone, have a massive sway about being politically correct.
Yeah.
And it's trying to force its way. I think comedy and the comedy world is the only industry that's fighting that back and just saying, no, it's gone too far. It's ridiculous. And I can't think of any other industry. Maybe the music industry with bands and stuff when they've got a voice and they want to say things. But I can't think of an industry that's fought back more and just told the people that, you know, are easily offended where to go with it all.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I don't. Is the world really like that? Because the thing is, it's that's the loudest voices you'll hear. And if you spend all your life on social media, then you'd believe the world will like that. But the world isn't like that at all. It's not got, you can't say anything and that everybody's offended by everything. It's just the loudest, it's kind of the emptiest vessels make the loudest noise, don't they?
Well, it's Twitter is like the epicenter of it all. I think it's just fucking ridiculous. It's like people are just sat at home waiting for something to happen to be offended, and it's like they're excited to be offended by something.
Yeah. Well, look, I've been offended before, before I grew up and grew an adult brain, but it feels kind of nice. Yeah. There's something about the ego. You've got this ego that you kind of, I'm this certain type of person. Ooh, and it feels kind of chocolatey and lovely to be offended by something. And people get addicted to being offended like they do anything else because it kind of makes them feel good for a while.
And what should we do about these people? How can we help them, Joe?
Offending them more often.
Keep them on the toes, eh?
Yeah, well, this whole thing about like the cancel culture and everything. When it comes to opinions, I'm not talking about like the sex scandals and stuff, but just people getting cancelled for opinions. I don't see that. I only see people getting cancelled once they apologise. So as long as you keep on your track, I look at Donald Trump. He never apologised for anything, and he stayed as the president for God knows how long it were, 2 terms. You know, so it's just don't apologise. Yeah. That's my thing. Never apologize. Have your opinion, stick to it, and you'll be fine.
One thing I've always enjoyed, there were many things I didn't enjoy on the circuit because I were more of a music person that had an itch to try. I knew I'd regret it if I didn't try stand up. And I tried it for a year. In the end, it weren't for me. I didn't work hard enough at the craft. And it showed, and all that kind of stuff. And I just moved on back into music, and I've ended up doing this RGM thing. But back in the day, you know, you make so good friends of people on the road. For example, when I first started, Fran Garrett had just started. Matt Fong had just started.
Fran's lovely.
Yeah, Zara Barry writes for RGM, and I've built those relationships over years, and they were doing, they were documenting Edinburgh Fringe for me. And basically just like covering the festival while they were up there performing. So we've had some great content in RGM, just, you know, celebrating the comedy world. And we want to grow this part of it because I'm fascinated by comedians just in general. Is there a normal one out there?
Normal comedians? Yeah. What's normal? Is there a normal human out there, like full stop? No, I don't think there is.
Yeah, fair enough. But that's good though, isn't it? Because, you know, to be a comedian, you've got to have something wrong with you. Something not quite right.
Yeah. It's kind of every comedian's a little bit of a broken box of toys. You know, in a way. I suppose why else would we kind of seek the validation of strangers if there was something wrong with us? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that's deeper than I expected to be.
Oh, no, mate. Sorry about that. Well, that all comes from, I've been listening to a lot of comedians and watching a lot of specials through lockdown and just catching up on American comedy, really. You know, Bill Burr. Joe Rogan's quite good. Dave Chappelle, I've been watching a lot of. Louis C.K. And Mark Maron, I've been watching a lot of recently as well. I just adore because he's just so dark.
It's great.
Fucking brilliant. what comedians are coming through at the minute? I know it's early days after lockdown, that kind of stuff, and we'll cover that a little bit more. But where are the bright sparks in the UK comedy scene coming from?
Oof, that's kind of a tough question, because I think I'm generally only doing the kind of pro sort of gigs. So I tend not to see the kind of grassroots level, I guess. So I don't really get to see many people kind of coming up. I really like a guy. There's a guy in Sheffield, a blind comedian called David Eagle, who I really like at the minute. He's very, very dark. Very fun. He'd be my one to watch at the minute.
Yeah, sure. Nice one. And go on, what are you going to say anymore?
I was going to say, like, with the comedy thing, if you wanted to do more sort of thing, we should get a little podcast or something going in the green room of our comedy club, because we've got rofl, rofl-comedy.com, Rofl Comedy Club, and we have like the best sort of pro acts over every single Friday and Saturday, and sometimes the green room's the funniest place you can actually be.
There we go. There we go. That's another branch of the podcast then, getting four comedians around a table and have a do whatever we do. That'd be a good idea. Great. Yeah, brilliant. So so comedy, the comedy industry has been away for a long time. Lockdowns just hit and damaged the industry so much, and just basically stopped everything over the last 18 months. As a creative person yourself, I've noticed you're not just doing comedy, and we're going to get to this big new comedy club in Sheffield. I promise you soon. But you've been doing. You're not just a comedian. You're doing loads of other things as well, like you're acting and you're diversifying yourself and learning new skills throughout. I think when I look at people online and they just moan about the board, I just like to ask them, what have you learned over lockdown? So if you're not going to learn anything over lockdown, then you're fucked. You should have something about you to try new stuff and to learn new stuff, and just to crack on and use it to your advantage. Really, it's a shit situation. Let's turn it into a positive. And I think just for watching you on social media, you've definitely done that. What made you, try these new things?
Well, I guess I realized I had time, and that's one commodity that you can spend how you want. And I just decided, what else would I like to do other than sort of comedy? And I thought, film industry. And I'm an author. I've had a couple of books published previously, a couple of novels. I used to write crime fiction. And I decided to turn my hand to screenwriting. So for sort of a year, I would look at it. I knew a director and a writer in the business. That's all I really knew. And he's kind of mentored me for the last kind of year and a half, really, developing that. So it's been great.
So you've had a lot of projects, for a new person going into the industry. You seem really busy. Yeah. You've got your foot in the door.
Yeah, pure luck. It's literally who you know. No, it's not pure luck. I've worked my nuts off, and my mentor is an ex-comedian actually called Adam Ethan Crow. And if you like the dark stuff, you love his stuff. But he's a director and a writer now. Yeah, and he's been brutal as a mentor. He's been amazing, but I've had to grow thick skin, cause he's just so direct, which I like, and you can't improve without that. But some of the things, like I remember he once described some dialogue I'd sent him as so on the nose and obvious. It was like a stripper with a $50 bill down a G-string. I love that though.
What kind of feedback has he given you then as an actor?
As what? Sorry?
What kind of brutal feedback has he given you that you've worked on?
He's literally taken me from knowing absolutely nothing about writing for screen to being writing on a level where I'm being paid handsomely to do it. Yeah. So he's really he's taught me absolutely everything. Writing a screenplay is so different to writing sort of for books and things, because you've got to write exactly how you see it on screen. So if you walk into a bar in the script, walk into a bar, you're going to and you see a drunk person sat at the bar, he stinks of beer, but you've got to see all that. So it's literally, you write it as you'd see it on TV. So bar, homeless man, drink, smells. That's it. That's all. That's as quick as you've got to do it.
What do you think he saw in you to commit that time in you? What do you think he saw in you to warrant this time?
Maybe tenacity, and I've got a good track record of once I've committed to doing something, I get good at it. So I think seeing that over other things, I guess.
So now you're the main MC for a brand new comedy club in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Talk us through how it all started and rofl Comedy in Sheffield. Just tell people that haven't got a clue what it is, what it is.
So rofl Comedy Club, which is Roll on the Floor Laughing for the older people. Yeah, it took me a while. And it's owned by an ex-world champ boxer called Lee Jones Jr. He's the money man behind it.
Yeah.
And he decided he was going to open comedy clubs in the lockdown. Why not?
Yeah.
So we've opened this one in Sheffield, which I'm kind of running, and I'm there every single Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah.
And so far, it's been amazing. We've had 4 weekends we've been open, and even with the restrictions, the atmosphere is it's electric. And I think people have been so bored. And it's like that kind of, you realize how much you've missed being in a room with other strangers and laughing and having that shared experience. Honestly, it's been amazing.
So it's not just open in Sheffield, is it? He's opened these comedy clubs all over the country as well, isn't there? There's a few different ones scattered about.
Yeah, it's
just having a look nosy on the website.
Yeah. So.
Oh. That's his press pick there, ladies and gentlemen. You there, mate? Where's he gone? What?
Oh, so I've got you. You're frozen.
Did you get a call?
Yeah, I didn't know you could. I didn't know that had happened.
Yeah, your press pick came up. You definitely dye your beard, don't you?
Dye my beard, yeah, definitely. Well, I dyed it a few weeks back.
Good on you.
So grey, mate.
Good on you. Yeah. So they're doing comedy clubs all over the country.
Yeah. Well, they've got Derby. They're opening one in Loughborough. They've got Newcastle, kind of near Stoke. That Newcastle under Lyme, is it?
And have they just opened these clubs just in lockdown? Have they opened them all, or is it just
the Newcastle one's been a while, but he's opened all the others pretty much lockdown. And our venue, it's the old Pizza Express at the top of Division Street.
Just on the corner then. Right.
That's right, across from Devonshire Green.
Down from Green Room, just up from.
That's right. Yeah. And we wouldn't have got that venue in a million years if it weren't for the pandemic, because somebody like Starbucks or Costa would have snatched it up, and the landlord would have just gone, oh yeah, that's a safe bet to have somebody like that. But because we got it in a lockdown, you were like, okay, some little unknown sort of thing. Why not? So it's actually served as well. I don't think we'd have that venue at all had it been pre-pandemic.
I'm just trying to picture the venue. I've had a pizza in there before. I'm just trying to. Is it downstairs where the stage is and that kind of stuff? I'm trying to.
No, so downstairs we've got Hemingway's cocktail bar, and we have like a stage in the corner with kind of acoustic singer sort of thing on, and the comedy club's upstairs. You go up like a spiral staircase into this room, and it's awesome, mate. It's like tiny, intimate. The max it'll have in even post-pandemic's 100. So it's the most intimate, like theatre space. It's got like everything's black and it's black curtains. It's perfect. So it's low ceilings.
A venue's got to be right for comedy as well, hasn't it? Because I've been to many a pop-up comedy gig where it's either a music venue and the room's not right, or the crowd's not right sometimes if they're going to certain venues, because you have to know the rules as a crowd sometimes for a comedy gig, don't you? Where when these pop-up comedy gigs pop up and people might be used to going to a gig and they might talk a bit more, but you've got to be a certain type of crowd to go to a comedy club to.
Yeah, I guess it's about once the rules are kind of easy to learn. Once you're in a proper comedy club venue, it's kind of told to you, you know, it's like a theatre performance in a way.
Yeah.
It's a similar sort of thing, and you get in like comedy nights in places, they don't have the detail throughout the night. Whereas like every single detail you could pick from the start to finish of what's going to make a good comedy show. So it's a dark room, it's intimate, the noise of the laughter bounces off all the walls, and it's low ceilings, so you're not losing all that laughter. Your performers are right in front of you, like you could reach out and touch them. Pre-pandemic.
it only another month or so, eh?
Yeah, let's hope, mate. Let's hope.
So if anybody's like, you know, intrigued by this, there's a website and everything, you know, just search for the social. I'll put links on this podcast, so just go into the comment section and, you know, click and buy yourself a ticket and attend this brand new club. How did just out of interest, how did the comedy community take to having another comedy club in the city?
Absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, most comedians are really excited about it, and we've not faced any negativity at all. Everyone's super on board with it.
I only mention it sometimes with music venues. People are like, "Oh," they start having twitchy feet. Think, "Oh, they're going to take the customers away from me." But it should be more. It should be more of a community, shouldn't it? Particularly Sheffield's a community city. It should be. It should be.
There's room for a couple of comedy clubs in Sheffield, no problem.
Yeah, brilliant.
Oh, I see it. Especially one as small as ours.
So is it just Friday, Saturday nights that you do, or is the comedy on through the week as well?
No, it's just Friday and Saturday nights, full pro lineups. So every act you see is going to be like a headliner standard. And I compare it each week. We might start doing a little bit midweek as well as things return a bit more to normal.
And how are you finding it back up on stage?
Oh, I'm loving it. Honestly, I was during the lockdowns and the pandemic. I've been doing a little bit of support work, supporting teenagers with learning difficulties and stuff. Okay. And I stepped on stage that first Friday, stepped off, and went, I can't go back to doing a real job.
Yeah,
I'm done. Like, you know, it's I love it. Honestly, I'm just basically stand there, act like a complete dick for like an hour or two and get paid for it. It's crazy. I still can't believe I do it for a living.
Would you prefer to do comedy full time or the acting?
I don't need to choose really, because comedy just you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, most Thursday, Friday, Saturdays I'm working on the comedy thing, so I've got plenty of time to do whatever. So the acting and the screenwriting and stuff, that's, you know, why not do all of it?
Well, I love celebrating hardworking people in the industry, and Joe, you're definitely working hard, and that hard work's paying off for you, mate. It's brilliant to see. And I'm definitely going to be coming down to the comedy club. I need to be there. I'm going to be over there. We've got tram lines and everything coming up with the magazine. Yeah. We're going to be covering more comedy. There might even be a new podcast coming out now we've had a chat. We'll have a chat about that off camera. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Zoe Zalias for joining us in the podcast today. I've been Carl Maloney, your presenter today, and this is a bonus episode, and we'll see you soon for a new series of the RGM podcast, guys. Thank you. Hello. Did you know that you can support our podcast in many ways? Within the description of this podcast, you will see a list of all the equipment that we use. These are Amazon affiliate links. Clicking on these links take you to Amazon. If you buy whatever you're planning that week, we get a small kickback and you get a parcel at no extra cost. We would really appreciate your support. Or you can just go old school and donate £1 or whatever you feel is appropriate in there. Please subscribe, tell a friend about our show, and thank you for your support, and we'll see you next week.